And on today's show, why the tax advantages of life insurance can stretch retirement income. Part 4 of this week's series on life insurance income strategies with life insurance income strategist Don Prinn, CLU and CHFC. Hi everyone, I'm Steve Savant, syndicated financial columnist and contributing author to Innsmark, LifeSpecs, and Backroom Technician. Let's get down to business. Well, welcome to the show, Don.
Hey, Steve.
Don, I'm really excited today. We're going to kind of build our show today into 2 segments and really walk us through what we want to talk about today. And I want to go to our first segment here because what we're doing is we're really trying to build an argument about good logic and bad logic. We're always trying to say, does the math work? Does it not work? Remember, that's in my bottom line is we're agnostic. We don't care what product. We just want to know who wins. So why don't you walk us through this first example? It's huge.
Yeah, I mean, I think what we're going to be showing here, both in this segment and the next segment, is some analysis for the client that shows them that you are agnostic to whatever product makes the most sense, but you can also explain to them some really interesting realities about retirement and wealth planning. And so in this first case, you have a male age 65, female age 60. They have $3 million in liquid assets available for retirement cash flow. And what we're showing here is under 3 different strategies. The first strategy is where we assume that they take $100,000 a year out during their retirement. Strategy 2 is $150,000 a year. And strategy 3 is $200,000 a year. And what we show with this graph is what's the impact of those different income levels on their overall wealth over time. So as you can see, the green bar is if they take the lower number, the $100,000 a year, and they have plenty of money all the way through retirement, and they end up with $4.7 million of net worth. Strategy 2, well, that's the yellow line. That gets them out to about age 90, and then they're kind of their personal assets are depleted. And then the last one is if they start taking $200,000 out a year, that's the red line, and their assets are depleted, and their assets are depleted at age 85. So this is an incredibly important analysis that you can do for clients to show them the impact and sort of the relationship between income level and assets. Income level and assets. And so that's sort of the first step on having a client kind of connect those 2 things.
And by the way, remember that this is a big issue because what's the number one concern out on the web right now? You Google, what's the Google financial question of the day? Will I run out of money in retirement?
Will I run out of money in retirement? And this hits that dead center.
It does. Well, let's go to this second one because this to me is a great example as well.
Yeah, so in the last bit of graphic that we were showing sort of how their assets and how much income that they want in retirement and whether they'd run out of money or not. Now we're going to talk about something, kind of the next step in the client's knowledge process. Does it make any sense as to which assets we liquidate for retirement, or does it just not really matter that much? And in this analysis, we have a client, Simon and Ann Scott, age 55 and 50. They plan to retire in 10 years. Just a little different case. They have $600,5 million of liquid assets, and they want to take out $300,000 a year starting in 10 years for retirement. And so we kind of wanted to say, okay, let's look and see if they were going to start that retirement income, let's ask them what they would want to liquidate to provide that retirement income. And that you can see is strategy 1. So their assets would fund that $300,000 a year starting at retirement 10 years from now, and they would end up with $3.6 million in net worth out at age 95 and 90. We then had our program, which is our wealth planning software platform called Wealthy and Wise, and we had the program do thousands of calculations to optimize the liquidation of different asset classes to provide the maximum net worth for the client in the most efficient way from a tax standpoint and growth standpoint. And by max optimizing the liquidation of those investments, we went from $3.6 million to the client having $16 million of net worth out here at age 95 and 90. It is a massive difference.
Don, you're telling me, I want to make sure I understood you right now, you're saying that because of the program, Wealthy and Wise in this case, that calculation optimized which asset to liquidate, knows the tax issues, knows all these things, and incorporates this. And just on the basis of when we take distributions on those assets, I'm changing our numbers from 3.6 to 16.2.
Yeah, and exactly what I'm saying. And the program takes into account any qualified plans and the taxation on those. And every client's different depending on their mix of assets. It is the only way to really advise a client on how to optimize their retirement. And they might, as we noticed in the beginning of this segment, they might have thought, well, I can't take this much income out because I'll run out of money. And you can show them that by optimizing their liquidation preferences, they could potentially have that amount of retirement income without depleting their assets.
This is a huge strategy. I have to say, the iterations that this computer model must be going through covers off so many variables. This could be a huge thing for you when you're thinking, which one do? I don't know how to do this myself as a planner. As an advisor, this is a great tool. When we come back from the break, we're going to continue how we're going to apply life insurance into this equation. We haven't even got to that yet, and I think you're going to find this to be fascinating. All about math, all about good logic. Well, welcome back to our second segment. Now we're going to do something a little different here. In the first segment, we didn't even talk about life insurance. We just set up the plan and let this technology of Wealthy and Wise really tell us what assets to liquidate first. But adding just one asset and doing a little bit of reallocation is going to be so dramatic. Don, walk us through it, because I think this is huge.
Sure. In the last segment, we talked about how to do the analysis of how income affects the overall assets in retirement and then optimizing liquidation strategies. Now we're going to integrate life insurance into this plan. Here we have a client, James and Allison McNamara, age 55. They're both age 55. They're going to retire in about 10 years. And if we come down here, you can kind of see their different asset picture. They've got a total of $4.7 million net worth. They've got some equity assets, taxable assets. We put all of these different asset classes and amounts into Wealthy and Wise. And that sort of shows us sort of where they're going to be if they don't do any changes. And then the next thing we suggested was we said, let's reallocate some of your assets into a cash value life insurance product. And we'll show you the one that we recommended in this case. Here we had $100,000 a year, 5-pay, $1.8 million death benefit level. And as you can see, the cash value growing. Now, interesting point here, Steve. We did not show income coming out of the policy until starting in year 21. And that's age 75. And the question becomes, yeah, but they want to get retirement income starting at age 65. But by using the comprehensive wealth planning with Wealthy and Wise, that's not a problem, because the retirement income that they need will simply come from other assets, so that we can season this policy long enough to get the benefit of the tax deferral and tax-free distributions. That's a huge point with Wealthy and Wise, that it allows you with older clients to start the income distributions later and rely on other assets in earlier years. So let's kind of look at a comparison between the status quo, where they don't use life insurance as part of their overall asset mix, and where they do, if we can take a look there. So here you see strategy one is the status quo, pulling out the retirement income desired, and they end up with $12 million of net worth. Strategy two, using that 5-pay, $100,000 a year, cash starting to come out in year 21, age 75, net worth grows to $16 million. So a $4 million improvement in their net worth situation. And here you can see cash out, $12.7 million with the status quo, $13.2 million with our plan, which funded that $500,000 needed to fund the $500,000 premiums.
Now, I'm thinking between these two, because some people say, well, I want to build net worth, or I want income, or I want a little bit of both. We can accommodate that and look at different assets and when to take those out to really accommodate a person who wants net worth or a person who wants income, because we're implementing, or we're actually introducing into this entire plan, one new asset, life insurance, and reallocating to it.
That's right. And what's interesting is a lot of clients will look at this and say, gee, it's great that we have $16 million of net worth, better than $12 million, but I'm not sure we need that much net worth. What would happen if we had not quite as much net worth and we had more income? And we kind of wondered the same thing. So let's look at that summary. So this is strategy number 3. Here we took out almost $16 million, which is $2.5 million more money during retirement, compared to strategy 2, which was only $13 million. And we still, with our new strategy 3, had over $10 million of net worth out at age 95.
Now, to me, this is a huge, huge demographic, for a demographic of people who are going to ask us, really, I think that's the shift in the society has changed. I really want to see more income now, not so much accumulation of wealth. I think that's where it's going. And I think people want to really do something with their retirement. So I think this is an excellent way. And again, this software actually really maps it out for us and chooses what assets to use. And all we did, again, I want to make sure, Don, is we introduced life insurance into this equation.
Yeah, let me be clear. In strategy 1, the status quo, strategy 2, and strategy 3, the only change we made was we repositioned $100,000 a year for 5 years from current investments into a cash value life insurance policy with distributions starting at age 75 in the 21st year. That is the only change in strategy 1, strategy 2, strategy 3. Obviously, with strategy 1, there was no life insurance. Strategy 2 had life insurance, max net worth. Strategy 3, we took out more income, had the net worth a little bit lower, but still higher than the strategy 1 net worth to see how much more income we could get versus increasing the net worth over time. But that was the only thing we changed in these 3 plans.
That's why it's so dynamic to think about an asset like life insurance that can make an impact on your finance, whether you're looking at asset accumulation or you're trying to look at ultimate income. Well, that's all the time we have for today. Remember, before moving forward with any of the ideas on our show, always consult your tax advisor, legal counsel, or your broker-dealer compliance officer.